Welcome to Protect, Suicide Prevention Training Podcast for healthcare professionals. I'm Manan, consultant psychiatrist, founder, and head of faculty at PROGRESSguide.
Hi everyone, it's Mahi, your Protect podcast host. It's been a while since we last uploaded, but better late than never, right Manan?
Absolutely. It's great to be recording again. I can't remember actually when was the last time we recorded. I think it was on World Suicide Prevention Day.
Yeah.
When we launched Healing for Healers, and that was quite a success. The book went down very well. I have personally used it with some of the clinicians who have actually lost a patient to suicide. It's a very difficult time for clinicians because no one comes to work to do a bad job. We all come to work to do a good job, but sometimes bad things happen. And the death of a person that you're caring for, someone who has suicided, is incredibly difficult. So the book's gone really well, and there are particular parts of the book, particularly the section on Ikigai, which has really resonated with a lot of the people that are trained up in. Outside Healing for Healers, we have been so busy with all the training that we have been providing.
What have been the recent training events?
Well, we recently completed training for Cornwall. It was delivered through Maudsley Learning, so that was a big event. Also delivered some training for APRA staff. But most of my time has been taken up by what we are calling today's big news, which is Safe Life Guide.
Treat me as a 5-year-old and talk to me about what Safe Life Guide is about.
Oh dear. I wasn't expecting that. So a 5-year-old, I don't know how I'll explain a mental well-being app to a 5-year-old. Maybe I could explain it to a 10-year-old.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, let's go with that, 10-year-old. So Safe Life Guide is a mobile application. It is supposed to help you stay on top of how you are thinking, how you are feeling, and getting the most out of your life in terms of your emotional well-being. I don't know whether this will make any sense to a 10-year-old actually, but the idea is that people often struggle with intense emotional pain. So as a 10-year-old, one would have had pain of different kind. You know, they might have hurt their knee, they might have had a cut, they might have had a bruise of some description when they fell over, they hurt their head or hurt their hand. A 10-year-old would understand physical pain. So somehow we would need to explain to them, I guess, what emotional pain is. What Safe Life Guide does is it helps you stay on top of how you're thinking and feeling, as I said, being on top of your emotional pain, finding ways and means of chipping away at your emotional pain so you feel better in yourself. I don't think I'm doing a good job of explaining this at all. So maybe I should go from a 5-year to a 10-year to a 15-year-old. The app is actually approved for children above the age of 12, and children in schools are actually quite a big target audience for this app because there are lots of pressures on children in terms of the pressures with education, the pressure of having to perform in music, in sports, complete assignments, examinations. They just keep coming. They are relentless. It's also a time when children are going from adolescent to adulthood. It's a time of change. They are making sense of the world around them. There may be lots of pressures in their friendship groups, in their family structure, in their family dynamics. So it is actually important that we are able to somehow explain this to teenagers as to what Safe Life Guide might offer. And primarily for teenagers, what Safe Life Guide will offer is an app which will help them to stay resilient and keep improving on their mental well-being. However, the primary focus of the app is on suicide prevention. It's about maintaining safety. It's about staying safe, and if there is a crisis or there's an emergency, being able to navigate that. It's a combination of safety as well as resilience, building your mental well-being, and getting the most out of your life and being at your personal best.
So from what I understand, there are 5 large sections. Can you explain to me a bit about each section?
Yes, so the 5 large sections are, there is a section called the Hope View. I'll first run through the 5 sections and then we might go into each one of them just to kind of provide a bit of an overview. So the first thing that you see when you get into the app is you are asked a question: is your priority to remain resilient and stay resilient, or is your priority safety? So based on what you choose, if you choose your priority as being resilient, it will take you to the hope view. And I'll talk a little bit about the hope view in a minute. And then if you choose your priority to stay safe and you are struggling with intense emotional pain, and that is what we would recommend you to do if you are really struggling in your mental health, is to choose the safe view. And that will take you into a section around safety planning. There are also 3 other sections. One section is a section called logs, in which there are a number of trackers, which I'll mention in a second. Then there's a bunch of resources, a resource section in which you will find videos, in which you will find training courses, services that we offer from PROGRESSguide, the latest news that is happening, our social media connections as well. So that they are all in resources section. And then there is a subscription section, which is primarily for professionals who want to get trained in suicide prevention. Would you like me to go through each of the sections in a little bit more detail?
Yep. So let's start with hope.
Okay. So the hope view is essentially digitization of acceptance and commitment therapy. It's an evidence-based intervention in which we guide someone away from taking pain-guided desperate measures towards values-guided committed actions. So those are large-sounding words, but at a very basic level, the hope view takes you through 4 sections: what helps, what harms. So keeping it very simple, what would help you be the person you want to be, what would take you towards the person you want to be, or what would take you away from the person you want to be, and what would harm your chances of being the person you want to be. And it underpins it with values. It looks at the people and pursuits in your life, underpins those with values, and then it enables you to break down long-term goals, long-term pursuits into smaller actions that you can take on a daily basis, which get accumulated as a journal. It helps you track your progress and living a life that is enriched by values, living a life that is rich, full, and meaningful to you. It's something that every single individual can use. You don't need to be in emotional pain to use Hope View. It's about being at your personal best. It's about supporting your resilience. And that's something we are hoping we'll be able to take into schools, into universities, but also people who are actually struggling in suicidal distress. They would be able to benefit from the Hope View as well in terms of building their longer term resilience.
Yeah, that is definitely something I can use, as a student.
Well, you are no longer in school, so you have got news to share. So you finished school.
Yeah, I graduated last year and I'm now on a gap year, and I'll be studying medicine in the UK in January 2025, which is very exciting.
So that's January 2025. So we got about 6-7 months. And in that, we should make it a point to record as many podcasts about the app as possible and not have these long gaps in these podcasts. So.
Okay, we digressed. Let's go back to the app. Can you tell me more about the Safe View?
So the Safe View is the primary safety planning section of the app. One of the key problems that we have with most safety planning apps is that they are not very personalized. Kind of they are person-centered because they try to pick out internal coping strategies and external coping strategies that are relevant to the person, but they do not make it situation-specific. What we have tried to do in the Safe View is simplify the complexity of how distress escalates. Those of you who have attended the Protect training would know that we talk about a spiral of distress, how someone's feeling safe, and gradually distress can escalate. So from being safe, they could be on edge when they have the early warning signs or they're feeling triggered, all the way up to getting into a crisis when they're feeling incredibly unsafe, right up to an emergency. So that's like a spiral, and that spiral is different for every individual. So what we have done is we have turned this continuum of escalating distress, this spiral, into a ladder of distress, and we have categorized it into 4 separate sections, which makes it really easy for people to do the safety planning. So right on the top is emergency, then there is the crisis section, then there is feeling on edge, and then there is being safe. And what the Safe View does is that takes the person through these sections in sequence. They don't have to be done in one go. They could be done in small sections. Even our general practitioners could be using this because, GPs don't have 10 minutes. GPs have a sequence of 10 minutes. So in each visit, if you're working with someone who is suicidal, you could potentially pick up one particular section rather than trying to do all of the sections in one go, continue to build it layer upon layer. Same with counselors, psychologists. You could focus in on one section, spend 10, 15 minutes of the session, of your counseling session on one section, and in the next section, revisit the previous section and then build in another section and build in these layers of safety as you go along. So it simplifies a really complex notion.
So is the Safe View primarily for people in suicidal distress?
Well, you can yes and no, because yes, it is primarily for people in suicidal distress, but actually we know that suicidal urges come as waves. So they come as a wave and then they settle and they pass. So the urge to self-harm or the urge to take one's life comes as a wave. And one does not know when it might come. We know that 1 in 4 people who might have suicidal ideation completely skip the planning or the intention phase and they could take action. So my recommendation would be if someone's struggling in their mental health, it will be not a bad idea to get at least the emergency plan, which is the top bit of the Safe View, completed. So you know what to do in an emergency. Chance favors the prepared mind. I keep repeating that. So in case things deteriorated significantly in a short window, you have thought that through when your thinking was cleared. Because what happens in an emergency or in a crisis is that one cannot think straight. So it's quite helpful if someone's going through mental health challenges to actually do it. It's better to be prepared and never need it than be unprepared and then be in a situation when you're trying to think through, how do I keep myself safe?
Okay, let's move on. Can you tell me more about the logs?
So this is a collection of different kinds of trackers. So I'm really excited about this because there is a habit maker and a habit tracker in there. And it's a new system that we are using, supporting people to build habits, repeating patterns. And a lot of it actually has been inspired by the book Atomic Habits.
And that's a good book, yeah.
It's an absolutely great book to read. And we have turned it into, my favorite pastime is to make new acronyms. So we have created a new acronym called HABIT. So, and it builds on what we do in the Hope View actually. What helps, what harms, and then takes you through the separate steps. We'll do an entire podcast on this because this is something new. There are lots of things in the logs. So there we have got a mood diary. It's a quick, easy, simple way to record your mood, how you're tracking, and you can take it to your therapist in between sessions, how you have been. It's not an extensive diary, but it's something quick and simple. There is an alcohol diary as well, which is a great way to track if you are drinking, how much you're drinking, how much you're spending on your drinking as well, what you're drinking. So it calculates all of that. There is a very interesting innovation called a safety tracker. And this really is targeted towards tracking your urges. So people who self-harm, but also people who are struggling with suicidal distress, track how their suicidal urges are waxing and waning. There is the journal viewer as well. And also, very importantly, there is a medication history tab under logs as well. So if you're taking particular medication, it would be quite nice to make a note of that in there. When you started, when you go up in dosage, when you change the medication. I often see patients in clinic who have been on different medications over a window of 10, 15 years, but they can't remember the medications. And it's really quite hard for them and hard for the psychiatrist or your GP as well to prescribe medication, not knowing what medication you have been on, what have you tried, at what dose, how long did you take it for, what kind of effects or side effects you had. So the medication history is in there as well. So quite a few things in there. So alcohol diary, habit maker, habit tracker, a mood diary, a medication diary, a safety tracker, and the journal viewer. So that all kind of makes up the logs section.
Well, that's quite a few trackers, but definitely very useful for people in suicidal distress and for people like me who want to track their mood or their habits because I guess it builds resilience.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's something that we will do a proper episode on. Well, we'll do proper episodes on each one of them, go into detail to talk you through. But yeah, the log section is very interesting.
And how about resources?
Yeah, so this is a collection of resources. There's the news section in which we track new things that are happening. What I do intend to do at some point, if we get the time, is to put together some research papers as well that have come out in the news section. There's a whole bunch of videos. We recently uploaded 5 mindfulness videos that we did with Richard Goldsworthy into that section.
Yep.
So they are like 3 minutes of mindfulness, 4 minutes of mindfulness. So we had a short break in Noosa, and Richard Goldsworthy is a local musician in Noosa. Sorry, I know I'm digressing, but he's a lovely man and plays beautiful music, and flew my drone out there for a while, so had some good footage. So we made some mindfulness videos, which are in there. But you will also find videos relating to Hope View and Safe View in there. Some of our good old videos like Navigating Rocky Waters and The Line Within. So you will find a number of those really good videos in there to watch. There's also upcoming talks, training courses, services we offer. There's a bunch of stuff. And of course, the podcast you can also connect.
The updates will be on there.
Yeah, exactly. The podcast will be on there as well. So you have been working on the Instagram account, actually. So that's quite an interesting development.
Yep. So we've uploaded some of our mindfulness videos on there, and we've uploaded quite a few key messages and images as well. So you can check that out at PROGRESSguide if you're interested.
I think we were going for #KISS, isn't it? Key images, simple statements, but #KISS brings up a lot of stuff, which...
Yeah, it's a bit dodgy.
Yeah. But, but #KISS sounds quite good. The other hashtag we were thinking of was #I2M2. So Insta images, memorable messages. I quite like that. Images,
it does sound good.
Yeah, #I2M2. But that's another resource that we are building up, where people can very quickly look at the images, and each of them will have a key message that is attached to it. So if you are on Instagram, just put in Progress Guide, and then you will be able to follow us and follow those. It's a quick way to recap the key messages that's there. Which is a nice segue into the subs view, because the subs view is primarily for those who either have been trained in Protect. If you have been trained in Protect, do email me at admin@progress.guide. I can provide you a free code if you have already had training in Protect, because the subs view will give you access to all the videos, all the book chapters, the key images there with the messages, and there will be a place to write any notes that you want to write about that chapter as well. So, and also I'm happy to provide free codes if you are a charitable organization or if you are in the developing world. Really happy with that as well. So just email admin@progress.guide and we'll send you a free code, which will give you access to all those resources, the training resources, which is part of our philanthropic mission to get suicide prevention training into the developing world to as many people as possible. Yeah, so there's a lot happening. But I guess we did not tell people to actually download the app.
That's the main thing. We should have done it at the beginning.
Yes. If you're on Android, Google Play Store, or if you are on iOS, on the App Store, just type in Safe Life Guide and you would be able to download the app. Safe Life Guide, and you will be able to download the app.
So those are the 5 large sections. Do you want to say anything about the production process?
Yes, actually, I do, because I should give a huge shout out to the people at Adamo. They are a company based in Vietnam. They put up with all my crazy ideas. They're good designers, good programmers, and you can see from the quality of the app what they have built. It's really well built, very stable, lots of privacy features. And I would just like to thank them. It's been 9 months in the making, and I've really enjoyed working with them. Thanks to Adamo, and a big plug for them. So what should we end on today? I guess download the app.
Yeah.
don't just download it yourself, get your partner to download it as well, because you can have a lot of values-based conversations with each other. We'll put the links in the podcast notes as well. Just put in Safe Life Guide. You will get the app, download it, and start using it. And if you have any feedback, all feedback is good feedback. The word should be feed forward. It's feeding the future of the application. So we will end the podcast here today. And again, any feedback, any thoughts, please email admin@progress.guide, or you can leave a message on Instagram or YouTube, or connect with myself on LinkedIn. And would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.